So once you're at your product, you can see here, use the coupon free for 100% off. You don't have to use your credit card details if you don't want to. Then just go ahead and click add to cart. Then go ahead and press enter promo code, type in free, press enter. You can see it takes it off and just check out. Then go ahead and enter your email and name so that I can actually send it to you and click continue. Bada bing, bada boom, it's in your email. Yeet! Hey everyone, welcome to the video. My name is Murray. In the past, I've done transition packs for streamers, editors, filmmakers, so you can use them in OBS, Streamlabs OBS, all that kind of stuff. There's like 2 packs right now or 3 of them, and you can download them off the shop. All of them are free. If you want to get them for free, use the coupon free at checkout. You don't have to pay for any of them, but you can if you want to support the channel. I appreciate that. Thank you. I've made them to where they're robust, super high quality, intuitive, and they save your time, so you don't have to worry about doing the hard work. Now with this video as well, when I show you how to create a custom stinger transition, I will also include that as a download. Link is down below in the description. Feel free to check that out. You can download that for free. You don't have to pay for it if you don't want to. But again, I appreciate the support. So let's check out and see what this transition looks like. Okay, and I'm going to keep it, let's just say 10 seconds, but even that's overkill. I'm just going to give myself some extra room just for the time being. So once that new project is opened, what I'm going to do is I can either right click and go new, or I can just do Control Y to create a new solid. Let's just call it 1. And we'll keep it white just for now. We can always change the color later. I'm going to press W on the keyboard to rotate it. Let's kind of have it at an angle here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the scale of one side down significantly. Let's say something like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it with Control D, Control Shift Y, which is I can change the color now. So let's go and change it to kind of like a light bluish. We can always change the colors later. So I'm going to just drag that to the side a little. I'm going to increase the size a bit as well. We're going to keep this pretty minimal. Now with this second layer selected, I'm going to duplicate it with Control D, Control Shift Y so that I can change the color here. I'm going to drag it down to like a light orange color. I want to try and keep these colors that contrast well with each other so they don't clash or have any, issues. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep dragging it a little bit so that I'm going to have this little window in between this layer here. What I'm going to do is press S on the keyboard. I'm going to unlink these scale properties so that it doesn't adjust them completely as a whole. I can change them individually, and I'm just going to increase the scale of the length. That way none of these bits actually end up in the shot, or the edge of the 2 ends don't end up in the actual frame. I don't want that. All right, so what we're going to do is with them all selected, press P on the keyboard, keyframe the position, and let's have them out of frame for now. And then let's go down in time. Let's just take a second and let's just drag them across screen like that. So first what we have is that's a little slow. So let's increase it to like just under a second. Okay, that's kind of cool. So what we're going to do next is we're going to duplicate it with Control D. I'm going to drag them on top here, and then I'm going to drag these down in time so that you can see that these other ones start later. Because essentially what we're going to do, we're going to create the stinger transition that goes right across the whole screen. Now I need to adjust them a little further because you can see here that this part of the screen is going to be transparent. This part of this screen is going to be transparent, and so is this on each side. This part is where it's going to be covered. The screen has to be covered at some point when I'm actually creating the transition so that you don't see the screen change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag these down in time a little bit so that I know that the whole screen is covered completely at one point. Now I think this is okay because it's not going to be a big deal, but let's do it at 1 second to where this is over just like this, so that every time when you make the transition in OBS or Streamlabs OBS, the transition point is 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second into the video. That just makes it quicker and easier, especially when you're editing it in your stream software of choice. It also just keeps it more simple, uniform, so you know where the transition is happening. So if I just do a round preview here, you can see that transition. Great, looks awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new solid. It's going to be white, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it. Press W on the keyboard. I'm going to scale it up a bit on both sides so that it'll be covering the screen completely. And I'm going to rotate it a little bit so that it's kind of parallel with the other layers here. And I'm going to make sure that it is parented to at least one of the first layers here. So if I parent that let's say to number 3, and let's just adjust the scale again here. What is that?
It is what it is. It is what it is.
So with the layer selected, press P on the keyboard. Same thing with the layer 3 that I created. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the position of the white solid to the position of the orange solid here. And what I'm going to do is press Y on the keyboard, select the anchor point tool, and I'm just going to move it just down to where it's going to be underneath this orange solid. I have to make sure it's underneath so that it's completely covered like that. So what it's going to do is when it transitions, it's going to have that white background, and then the other one's going to come through, and we're going to essentially remove it with a mask. So with this white layer selected, I'm going to double click this rectangle tool here, and then what I'm going to do is go to M on the keyboard, keyframe the mask path, go back here to where this one initially starts. Let's go down right up to here, and then we're going to drag the keyframe to the timeline indicator right here, and then I'm going to go to right where the last part of where this green is on the screen, and I'm just going to drag it to that green layer there. So you can see now it does that. Now obviously you can see that this is what I want to be transparent. So halfway through, I'm going to grab this mask path, and I'm going to just make sure that it's on there. Actually, it starts, you see why, because it's here, it's got to start there, and now we're in business. All right, we got to also make sure that we move that mask off screen as well towards the end. Sweet, so this is what we have so far. Awesome, that's a great transition. So what we're going to do is duplicate this white, Control D. Then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our logo here. So once we've imported our logo, let's just drag it underneath that new white solid we created. And what we're going to do is press F4 on the keyboard to show the track matte, and we're going to do Luma matte. Then with the same layer selected, I'm going to go click and hold on the rectangle tool. We're going to do the ellipse, and we're going to double click on it to make it a circle around my logo. Then I'm also going to scale it down because I think it's a little too big right now. Sweet, so now you can see that it completely disappears when it's on the transparent screen, but it reveals on that white layer. Super easy, I don't have to do any masking with that. One thing here is I can notice that this is cut off by the mask. So you can see that layer is actually being, or the logo is being cut off by that white. It's just because of this white layer, so I can just choose to hide it or delete it if I want to, so that it's not having that issue. You can see I've already created a pretty slick transition here, but let's add some movement to the logo itself. So let's press R on the keyboard. Let's say when it gets revealed about here, the stopwatch, let's drag that keyframe down a bit, and I'm just going to rotate it a little. And then with this rotation selected here, I'm going to alt click the stopwatch, and I'm going to paste an expression in here. So just to show you what this expression looks like, I will include it to the link in the description. You can download this expression off the site for free, use the coupon free at checkout. This expression, what you can do is essentially it applies the amplitude, frequency, and decay to the keyframes essentially. So let me just show you what it looks like. You can see it adds a little bit of a bounce. Instead of just it starting, if I delete this expression here, instead of it just starting and stopping like that, like a straight hard cut type of thing, when I'll click the stopwatch, paste that expression in there, and if I press RAM preview, you can see it kind of does like a jiggle kind of thing. So you can obviously change these parameters around a little to increase it. So let's say it bounces a little more than twice. Let's go 5. If we press 0 on the keyboard, you can see it bounces more times, but it does it faster. What I will do is just adjust the initial rotation a little bit more so that it's just a little more, not violent, but you know, it just works out. You can see in the beginning here that the white layer is cut off. So what I'm going to do is just increase the mask a little bit over here, and then also here, let's see, right over here. So now if we just take a look here, you can see that's actually a really nice transition. So now with this done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open Premiere Pro, because what happens is when you export a file from After Effects with an alpha channel, it becomes a huge file and it's not very optimized. So what you got to do is you got to render it out from Premiere Pro using either MOV files so that you can actually have a decent file size and they're more optimized. You can actually render with the WebM format. So I'm just going to be saving this around here. So when we're in Premiere Pro, the reason why we do this is because when you render from After Effects, you don't want to render an alpha channel or a transparent background, because first of all, your stream software and computer are going to struggle with it because it's not an optimized format. They're also really big file sizes. It's going to waste your time and waste your computer space and also your resources for the stream. So what you're going to do is you're going to open Premiere Pro. And I do have a tutorial on how to transfer After Effects files to Premiere Pro. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in the After Effects composition or the project. I'm going to open the main, and then with that imported, I'm just going to click and drag it onto the new sequence button. So what I can do now is I can actually preview it here. And it looks pretty good. Obviously, it's not going to play it in real time because it doesn't have a RAM preview. But if I just delete the end part here, I just have this left. And the transition doesn't even last like 2 seconds. You don't want it to last too long because that's obviously not going to be efficient for just branding and your stream or anything. So just make sure that it's nice, quick, sleek, and it's not complicated. If you're transitioning into different scenes, you don't want that to take forever. It's just going to be annoying. So once you've done your sound design, because that obviously makes a huge difference when it comes to your transitions, what you're going to do is press Ctrl M on the keyboard, or you can go to File and you can go to Export Media. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select for at least streaming in OBS and Streamlabs OBS, you select WebM format. You can download the plugin. This doesn't come stock with Premiere Pro, but it is a free plugin that you can use. So once you've selected WebM, I'll include the link to the download in the description. I'm going to match the source. So 1920 by 1080 at 60 frames per second, because that's usually what people are streaming at. And then what I'm going to do is make sure I include alpha channel over here. This is really important. Everything is going to be a waste of time if you do not check this box, because you got to make sure you have a transparent background. And that's what the black screen is here. That's what that transparent background is. So once we've saved it, let's go just save it in a random place where you'll never be able to find it again. And then you click export. Now you can see it's going to take a while because it's a WebM format. This is 1.5 seconds long. I have a pretty beefy computer, but you can see how long it's taking just because of the format it renders at. Now keep in mind that WebM file formats are not going to be able to have a transparent background in any editing software. It will be transparent in OBS or Streamlabs OBS, but other than that, it will not work. So these are WebM file formats are extremely optimized for streaming. And then let's say now you want to send it up in OBS Studio. Now, obviously, if you use Streamlabs OBS, the system works very similar. But what you're going to do is when you go into your scene transitions, if you don't see it, just go up to View. And then if you go to Toolbars or go to Docs and go to your scene transitions over here, you can see it's checked up and it's right over here. So if I just go to the plus sign over here, and let's do Stinger because it's a Stinger transition, and call it whatever you want. I'm going to do OK. What you're going to do is you're going to browse the file location, go to wherever it's located, select it. And then what you're going to do is the transition point is, at least in my case, is 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second into the transition where the whole screen is covered. That's super important. If you do not know at what point in the video your screen is completely covered, you need to make sure you know what it is. For example, in my clip here, or my transition, the screen is covered at exactly 1 second, which is 1000 milliseconds. Great. Now what you can do is also you can choose to monitor your transition sound when it actually happens during stream. So what you can do is monitor only, mute output, which means that your stream won't be able to hear the transition, but you can. Or you do monitor and output, which means your stream will be able to hear the transition and you will be able to hear the transition when it's active, assuming there's sound effects. There isn't any in this one in this case, just because of the sake of the tutorial to keep things going, and I'm lazy. And also make sure that you do a fade out to transition point, then fade in, because if you do crossfade, your voice is going to fade in and out during the transition if you're talking at the same time. Keep that in mind. So what you see here is what you've got to do, then click OK. Now when you switch to a different scene, so let's just do, I don't know what these are, but let's do it. So you can see there's the transition and it switches to the other scene. They're not set up yet, but that's what it is. So you can see, really awesome. But yeah. So if you enjoyed, subscribe, stick around for the future, leave a like, it would really help the channel out, trying to get the videos out to everyone else. Also, there is a microphone giveaway. So Toner is not sponsoring this video or any of the previous videos, but they did send 2 microphones for free. There's another one down here. Currently, there's a giveaway going on in the Discord. Link is down below. Check it out. If you want to get a free microphone or get a chance to win a free microphone, all the info is down there. Come say hi. Great community down there. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, keep smiling, keep shooting.